The Plum in the Golden Vase. Chongzhen version of the embroidered image. Chapter 81. Han Daoguo abducts his wealth and escapes far away. Tang Lai protects the deceiver and betrays his kindness. The poem says, the swallows enter the non-side house, and the gulls return to their old pond. The broken bridge has no plank, and the lying willow grows its own branches. Then there was Shanyang's work, which was much ashamed of Uncle Bao's knowledge. The old acquaintances are all gone, and tears are hanging down from the white heads. It is said that Han Daoguo and Lai Bo took Simon King's for 1,000 taels of silver and went to Jiangnan to buy goods. They arrived in Yangzhou and captured Mao King to stay at his home. When Mao King saw Simon King's letter, he thought of his grace for survival and tried his best to follow it. He also begged a girl named Chu Yin and kept her at home to give to Simon King to repay his kindness. Han Daoguo and Lai Bo didn't buy any goods. They spent their days looking for flowers and willows, drinking and sleeping with women. It's only early winter and the scenery is desolate, making it hard to think about the journey. Just now I used my silver to buy cloth from various places and put it in Mao King's house in Yangzhou. I waited until the goods were purchased and got up. First, Han Daoguo invited a cousin, Wang Yuzhi, from the old hospital in Yangzhou. When he came to protect him, he invited Lin Kaihong's sister Xiao Hong. One day, Wang Haifeng and Mao King, Yangzhou salt guests, were invited to visit Baoing Lake. After swimming for a day, they returned to the courtyard. It was also Bustard Yuzhi's birthday, and Han Daoguo invited everyone to have wine with Madame Wang Yi's mother to celebrate her birthday. He sent Hu Xiu, a young man, to invite merchants Wang Dongqiao and Jin Qingchuan, but they were not seen in vain. After a while, Wang Dongqiao and Jin Qingchuan came with Wang Haifeng. At sunset, Hu Shukai came and was scolded by Han Daoguo, who brought him wine, saying, I don't know where this guy is eating wine. We didn't come until we ate here. And the smell of wine came out of his mouth. The guests have been here half a day ago. You don't know where you are from. I will settle the score with you tomorrow. Hu Xiu glanced at him sideways, walked down, and murmured, You scold me. Your wife is lying at home. You are making money while being fucked here. The old man in the house fucked your wife until it was worthless, so he paid you to go out and do business. You are happy here, but your wife is suffering for some reason. If people don't come out in vain, you will be hooked as a human being, the bustard just said to Yuzhi. The bustard then pulled him out of the yard and said, Guanhu, you are drunk. Go to your room and sleep. Hu Xiu shouted loudly, but Bai refused to enter the room. Unexpectedly, Han Daoguo was eating wine with all the merchants at the banquet. When he heard Hu Xiu fart and smell something spicy, he got very angry and walked out and kicked him twice. You're afraid you won't be able to find anyone for a day. Send him away immediately. Then Hu Xiu, who was willing to go out, shouted in the yard, How are you going to drive me away? I'm not bad at accounting. You're supporting your wife, but you're driving me away. See if I say anything when I get home. He persuaded Han Daoguo to stop him, pulled him aside with one hand, and said, You dog bones. It turns out that wine is so hard. Hu Shudao said, Uncle, you don't have to worry about him. Let me drink whatever wine I want, and I'll do it with him. Lai Bo pushed him into the room to sleep. Exactly, if wine is not intoxicating, everyone will get drunk. If sex is not charming, people will be obsessed. Lai Bao sent Hu Xiu to sleep in his room. Han Daoguo was afraid that all the merchants would laugh at him, so he drank wine and laughed at each other at the banquet. Sisters Lin Kaihong, Xiao Hong and Wang Yuzhi sang, played, sang and danced, gathered flowers, guessed the coins, and ate until the middle of the night. The next day, Han Daoguo wanted to beat Hu Xiu, but Hu Xiu said, Young man doesn't know a word. Daoguo was persuaded by Mao King's good intentions. Stop talking nonsense. One day the goods are finished and packed and loaded onto the ship. Unexpectedly, Mao King begged Chu Yan, the woman who sent Simon King away, suddenly fell ill and could not move. Mao King said, When he recovers, I will send someone to deliver him. He only packed some personnel gifts, copied the book account, sent the two of them, and Hu Xiu got up. Wang Yuzi and sister Lin Kaihong often set wine and horses' heads as farewells. Starting from the 10th day of the first lunar month, I was speechless all the way. One day when he arrived at the lynching lock, Han Daoguo was standing on the bow of the boat. Suddenly he saw his neighbor Yin Salong coming from the upper reaches by boat to go to Linqing to receive an official. When he saw Han Daoguo, he raised his hand and said, Han Shikao, your father has disappeared since the first month of the year. After saying that, the boat sailed quickly and passed by. After hearing this, Han Daoguo felt relieved and kept it secret to ensure that he didn't say anything. Unexpectedly, there was a severe drought in Henan and Shandong. Thousands of miles of bare land and fields of silkworms were barren. The price of cotton and cloth was extremely high for a while, with 3 interest added to each piece of cloth. The local vendors from all over the country came to Linqing with silver taels to meet them, buy for customers and goods. Han Daoguo then discussed with Lai Bao. There are about 4,000 taels of cloth on board. Seeing that now plus 3 interest, it is better to sell half of it. It is also cheap to pay customs and tax, so just selling it at home is no more than that. If you don't sell it in the market, I sincerely say it's a pity. Lai Bao said, although what I said is true, I'm afraid that if I sell it, I'll make the boss angry. What can I do? Han Daoguo said, it's all my fault. He, right on the horse's head, sold 1,000 taels of cloth. Han Daoguo said, Chuangqiao, you and whose you are waiting on the boat to pay taxes. I'll take the dry road with Wang Han, the young man, and take these 1,000 taels of silver to report to Dad first. Lai Bao said, when you get home, at any rate, please send me a letter from my father and give him some money. I will pay less in taxes and let the ship go first. Han Daoguo promised. Wang Han and Zhao Lang dressed up as pack animals and went to their home in Qing County. Entering the city one day, at the south gate of Wangsheng, the sun was gradually setting. Suddenly, I bumped into Zhang En, who was pushing a cart of wine, rice, and salt out of the south gate. When he saw Han Daoguo, he called out, Uncle Han, you are here. Han Daoguo saw that he was wearing filial piety and asked why. Zhang En said, Dad is dead, and tomorrow will be the 9th day of March. I will be given this by my aunt. The wine, rice, and food boxes are going to the grave, and I will burn paper with my father tomorrow. After hearing this, Han Daoguo said, it's hurt. It's hurt. As expected, the words passed by people on the road are true. He went into the city. When he arrived at the cross street, he made a plan in his mind. Stay here. I want to go to Simon King's house. But now that he is dead and it's getting late, why not go home and stay overnight and discuss it with my wife? It won't be too late to go tomorrow. So he and Wang Han walked to the house on Shishi Street. After the two got off the bus, they sent the rushers back and asked to open the door. Wang Han carried his luggage in piles into the hall and went directly to his home on Shizi Street. After the two men got down, they sent the rushers back and asked to open the door. Wang Han carried his luggage and carried the pile into the hall. My wife greeted the door and bowed to the Buddha. Wang Liwer took off his clothes and sat down for him, while the girl ordered tea. Han Daoguo first told what happened on the way back, and said, I bumped into brother Yin and Zhang on the road, and then I found out that my father was dead. He was fine. Why did he die? Wang Liwer said, there are unforeseen circumstances. Winds and clouds bring temporary misfortunes and fortunes to people. Who can protect them? Han Daoguo opened the stack and took out many clothes and other items he had kept in Jiangnan, and placed them one by one on the kang. My wife opened it and saw that it was all white and snowflakes, and she asked, where is this? Han Daoguo said, I heard the message on the way, so I sold this 1,000 taels of silver first. He took out 2 more bags of ladders. I have 100 taels of silver, so I asked my wife. After I left, did he take care of you at home? Wang Liwer said, it's fine when he was there, but now you still give this money to his family? Han Dao said, Guo Dao, I just want to discuss with you. How about we keep some and give half to him? His wife said, Bah, you stupid slave. You will never be stupid again. Now he is dead. Here no one has anything to do with him. Why don't you give him half of it and ask him for his whereabouts? Why don't we hire a ringleader and kidnap him for the 1,000 taels? Go to Tokyo and go to my son's house. I'm worried that there won't be room for you and me in the palace of my in-laws. Han Daoguo said, I'm so anxious to leave this house. His wife said, you don't think you have any talent. Why don't you ask the second general to come, leave him a few taels of silver, and just ask him to guard you? When Simon King's family comes to look for you, I'm sure we've gone to Tokyo to call him. Are you going to look for us in the Grand Master's mansion? You and I are not afraid of him, Han Daguo said. How can I change my mind when I accept the favor of a high official? His wife said. It has been a natural law since ancient times. He had no money to eat, so he took advantage of his few taels of silver. So I kindly prepared a table for his eldest wife to burn paper with. She was an unvirtuous whore. She didn't come out for half a day. And she scolded me so much that I couldn't get out. I couldn't sit still. His third wife came out to sit with me when I was behind. I didn't sit down, so I just sat down. The sedan has come home. Thinking of his love, I should give him these few taels of silver. After saying this, Han Daguo was speechless. The couple had made plans for the evening. At the fifth watch of the next day, his brother Hunter was called to come. In this way, he was asked to guard the house, and he was tied up with 1 or 20 taels of silver. The two mischief makers were very willing and said, "Brother and sister-in-law will just go and wait for me to send him away." Han Daguo took Wang Hang Xioling and 2 girls with him to Tokyo. 20 carts were hired and all the boxes and soft objects were loaded onto the carts. Go out of the west gate at dawn and go straight to Tokyo. Exactly, the jade cage was smashed and the colorful phoenix flew. And the golden lock was opened and the dragon was driven away. Here, we will not mention that Han Daguo and his wife went to Tokyo. We will just mention that Wu Yunyang took Zhao Jie, Meng Yulu, Pan Jinlian, Simon Daji, her wet nurse Ryer, and her son-in-law Chen Jingji to burn paper at Simon King's grave the next day. Zhongyan told Yunyang that he saw Uncle Han coming home yesterday. Yunyang said, "He came. Why didn't he come to my house? I was afraid he would come today." After burning paper at the grave, she sat for a short while and got up early to go home. She asked Chen Jingji to go to his house and ask Han the waiter to ask him where the boat is. At first, he was called, but no one answered. Then, Hunter came out and said, "My niece went to Tokyo to ask her brother and sister-in-law. I don't know where the boat is." He asked Chen Jingji to go back to Yunyang. Yunyang was worried, so she asked Jingji to ride to the river to find a boat. After a day, he found Lei Bao's boat on the Linqingmatu boat. Lai Bao asked, "Han, the clerk, went home with 1,000 taels of silver." Jingji said, "Who saw him coming?" Zhongyan saw him go into the city. And the next day he came home from the grave. My aunt asked me to ask him. And he and his wife took away the family and the silver to Tokyo. Now my father is dead, and the mourning period has passed. My aunt is worried, so she asked me to find a boat. Lai Bo said nothing, but thought to himself, "This damned man. It turns out that he even hid it from me. He must have sold this 1,000 taels of silver on the road, and he must have a bad heart." It is true that people are close, but their hearts are thousands of miles apart. Lai Bao saw that Simon King was dead, and he was relieved to go with him. He lured Jingji to drink in the singing shops and singing halls on the horse head, and invited his cousin to play. He secretly moved 800 taels of goods on the boat, unloaded them in the shop room, and sealed them. One day, the tax was paid at the customs, and the boat was released. It started loading at Shinhaku and went to King County, and unloaded them in the east wing of the house. Since Simon King died, the Shizi Street silk and cotton shop has been closed. At the Dwin shop across the street, Gan and Chui Ben sold their goods and handed over the silver, then left and went back to their houses. Their houses were also sold, leaving only the pawnbroker and herbal medicine shop at the front door. Jingji and Fu Hufen, open. Lai Bao's wife Uxiang had a 5-year-old son named Seng Bauer. Han Daguo's wife Wang Liuer had a 4-year-old niece, and the two of them became relatives. Yu Niang at home didn't know about it. After Lai Bao handed over the goods, he pushed the blame on Han Daguo, saying that he had sold 2,000 taels of silver first and brought them home. Yu Niang repeatedly asked him to go to Tokyo to ask Han Daguo about the whereabouts of the silver. He said to her, "Let's leave early. Who dares to go to the house of a master of the Grand Tutor? It's useless to cause trouble. If he doesn't come to look for you, we will pray for the Buddha. It's useless to scratch the lice on your head." Yu Niang said, "It's our fault that Jai's relative is seeking marriage for him. Don't you think of this?" Lai Bao said, "When his daughter is in his house, he will only protect his mother and parents. So why not protect us? You can only say this to me at home. If outsiders know and spread it, it will be bad. Just think of it as a loss of these few taels of silver, and don't mention it anymore. Yu Nang had no choice but to give up. He also taught him how to buy hair and sell cloth. When he found a boss, Yu Nang asked Chen Jingji to exchange silver for the price, but the boss was not convinced and left with the silver. Lai Bo insisted, "Brother-in-law, you don't know the bitterness of business. I've been around a lot and know the market. I'd rather regret selling than regret not selling. This guy came home and got this price. You pulled the bow to the fullest and broke the owner, which shows that you don't know how to do business. I'm not arrogant. You're young and don't know the situation. Am I going to be a fool? It's better to sell it. It's a matter of time." Jingji heard it and didn't care about it. He didn't wait for Yu Nang to come and give instructions. He grabbed the abacus and invited the owner back. He exchanged more than 2,000 taels of silver, handed them over to Jingji one by one, handed them to Yu Nang, and pushed the goods out. Yu Nang gave him 20 or 30 taels of silver for his living expenses, but he deliberately refused to take it, saying, "You accepted it. Your father is dead, and you are a dead water. What do you need to give us your living expenses? You take it." "I will never take it." One evening, Sui Si, who was drunk after eating outside, walked into Yu Nang's room, lay on the king, and said to Yu Nang, "You are young, and your father is gone. You are taking care of these children by yourself. Isn't it harmful for me?" Yu Nang said nothing. One day, the housekeeper's eye of Tokyo sent a letter, knowing that Simon King had died, and heard Han Daoguo say that there were 4 outstanding girls in his family who played and sang, and how much they should be paid. He said that he would go and exchange the silver to take them to Beijing to promise the old lady. Yu Nang was flustered when she saw the letter, and asked the future protector to come and discuss whether it was better for him to go or not. Lai Bo entered the room without calling his mother, and said, "Your wife is ignorant. If you don't let him go, you will get into trouble. This is all caused by the old man who passed away. It's just like showing off his wealth. If you invite people to a banquet, you ask Sheila to go out. How can it not be spread? What's more, Han's daughter has promised the old lady in the mansion. How can it not be told? What I said the other day. And now, it is true that such a thing has come out. If you don't give it to him, he will send people from the prefecture and county to ask for it. I'm afraid that you won't give it to him with both hands, but it's too late. It's hard to say whether you can give all for to him, so it's better to send 2 to him today to save face." Yu Nang pondered for a long time. Lang Sheng and Meng Yulu's room and Chun Mai and Jin Lian's room were not easy to send away. Shu Chen wanted to see her brother again and didn't go out, so I asked Yu Xiao and Ying Chun in his room and they were willing to go. So Lai Bo was sent to hire a car to carry the 2 women to the Tokyo Grand Tutor's mansion. Unexpectedly, Lai Bao raped both women on the road. One day, he went to Tokyo and met Han Daoguo and his wife, and told them everything. Han Daoguo thanked Lai Bo and said, "If it weren't for my relatives who looked after me and stopped me at home, I would have been afraid of him, but would have talked to him." Saijin saw that Yingshan and Yu Xiao were both good-looking. One could play the zither and the other the string instrument, and they were no more than 17 or 18 years old. They entered the mansion to serve the old lady and were rewarded with 2 ingots of gold. Lai Bo also got a gold ingot. When he got home, he only took out a gold ingot to give to Yu Nang. He threatened Yu Nang with words, saying, "If I hadn't gone, he wouldn't have brought this gold ingot home." You don't know that Han and his wife are enjoying their wealth in that mansion. They live alone in a house, calling servants and maids, and sitting on the 5th floor. The housekeeper's eye calls him old man. His daughter Han Iji goes up to the old lady every day and promises to stay with her every step. She wants to serve her 10 times, pick food and change clothes. Now she can write and count, and she is blessed with a good figure and beautiful appearance. She came to see me the day before yesterday, dressed like a jade tree in the forest, very smart, and called me Uncle Bo all the time. Now our 2 families are so happy, but they are still asking him for needlework. After saying this, Yu Nang was very grateful to him. She sent him wine and food, but he refused to accept the silver. She gave him a piece of silk to make clothes for his wife Hu Xiang. Not to mention it, one day, Lai Bo and his brother-in-law Liu Kang went to Linqing Matu, sold all the cloth goods in Fengji's shop for 800 taels of silver, and secretly bought a house to open a grocery store at the right door of Liu Kang. He would accompany him every day for tea. His wife Hu Xiang told Yu Niang that she was going to her mother's house. When she got to the house, she changed her head and clothes, put on beads and hoops, and wore gold and silver jewelry. She went to Wang Liuer's mother's family, Wang Muzu's family, to make friends and take a sedan chair to visit his daughter. When she got to the house, she changed into plain clothes again and went to Ximon King's house. Only Yu Niang knew about it. Lai Bo was often drunk and came to Yu Niang's room to tease her 2 or 3 times. Yu Niang was not a decent person, but she was tempted by his evil thoughts. There was also a servant's wife who told Yu Niang that his wife was in laws with Wang Muzu outside, wearing gold and silver jewelry and going around. Pan Jinlian also told Yu Niang several times, but Yu Niang didn't believe it. Hu Xiang heard this and cursed everyone in the kitchen. Lai Bo pretended to be fat and stupid, and praised himself, saying to everyone, "You can only talk about it at home. I am a fool, and I brought all the silver and goods home. If it weren't for me, they would have been killed by the old man Han and went to Tokyo. They just made a sound and threw it into the water without making any sound. Now you don't know every yes I said, saying that I transferred the master's money and made a fuss about me. It's just that the one who cut the flesh doesn't know, and the one who made the fragrance doesn't know. Since ancient times, believing in people's words will lose the gourd." The daughter-in-law Hu Xiang cursed. "You are a whore who gossips. You said that the 2 of us the money he made was big, and he was always asking for favors. When the old Taoist went out, he asked where my sister had borrowed some jewelry and clothes, and said that they were bought with the money from my master. If he wanted to force me and my wife out, it wouldn't matter. When I go out, I don't think there will be any hungry crows eating grass. I'll wash my eyes and see you, these whores and slaves, living in prison in Ximon King's house." Yu Niang saw him scolding people, looking for reasons to quarrel with others, and threatening to hang himself. The man was rude to others 2 and 3 times, and she was so angry that she had to let him and his wife move out of the house. Lai Bo and his brother-in-law opened a cloth shop, selling all kinds of fine cloth, meeting relatives and friends every day, and doing favors. It's just like, when the situation is bad, the slaves bully the master, and when the time is bad, the ghosts play tricks on people.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.